Hi students, my name is Associate Professor Dr. Derek Ong, and I'm here to take you through a quick step-by-step tutorial on how to create an online survey using the Lancaster Qualtrics. Now, before I proceed, I would like to make sure that all of you have a Lancaster ID and password, the same one that you use when you go into the Lancaster portal and also access the Lancaster OneSearch library. Um, Before we go into creating an online survey, it would be beneficial for all of you to first know a little bit about data and measurement when you're doing quantitative research using data. So in order for you to do this, just have a little bit of statistics background. You can go to the link here, use a QR code scanner and scan the QR code here. Or you can go to YouTube and search for Derek Ong SPSS and find the Research and Statistical Analysis by Dr. Derek Ong playlist. There is a list of 26 videos. Now, don't worry, you don't have to go through all 26 videos for this tutorial. All you need to do is just go through the first 3, whereby you learn what is research and statistics, a little bit about hypothesis and testing, and most importantly, understand about types of variables and measurements. Okay, so once you know that and you're a little bit familiar about the types of measurements and variables, then I'm going to create and go through with you in this tutorial how to create single items for questionnaire like this and multi-item questionnaire like this. And these usually multi-items are usually answered on a 5-point Likert scale or a 7-point Likert scale, which usually ranges from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Okay, are we ready? Let's begin. So, as I mentioned, I'm going to cover 4 things in this step-by-step video tutorial. Firstly, I'm going to cover how to log into Qualtrics, how to set up a survey, how to deploy your survey, and finally, how to download your data, especially into SPSS format. Shall we begin? Let's go. Okay, so to begin with, make sure that you have a Google search engine. You can either use Chrome or I personally like to use Chrome, and search for Lancaster Qualtrics. And when you see this particular website here, https lancasteruni.edu.qualtrics.com, click on this one. You will go to a Lancaster login. I'm already logged in, so make sure you use your Lancaster login and password, and then you go into this particular password, Lancaster Qualtrics. Now, you can only use your Lancaster ID because Lancaster has bought Qualtrics. Okay. Now, then you will also see create a new project. You can just say that your first project is just a generic project. When you say create a new project, just click on survey. Of course, there are many other types of surveys that you can use, but I rather just create things from scratch. So when I say create survey, I'll just get started. And I will just create my own survey. Now, to firstly do, always give it a good name, a project name. I like to call this my first Qualtrics. Okay, and in good survey questionnaire practice, you always try to put the first page as a participant information sheet. Okay, now this participant information sheet, now because you're using the Lancaster Qualtrics, you will have the Lancaster logo automatically fitted in there, and I'll show you later what it means. So I actually have a Lancaster Qualtrics thing here. I'm not going to put anything here because this is not a question, but this is what is a general text description. So here's where this part here is where you edit your question type, And here, this panel here is where you edit your question after you've chosen which question type you want. So for this one, because it's a participant information sheet, I'm just going to call it as a text graphic. I've already got a participant information sheet example here, so I'm just going to take this and copy and paste it. So basically, what do you need in a participant information sheet? Well, people will tell you that a good participant information sheet will always include greetings, will always include stuff like privacy, discomfort, procedures, and how long the questionnaire is going to take, and who is doing the questionnaire or the project, and basically what the project is about. This is important because you need to tell your participants that the data that they're going to be provided is going to be stored anonymously, and it's only going to be used for academic purposes only. Okay, so be very clear that you are be very clear that you're only doing this for academic purposes only. Yeah. All right. Good. Now let's create our new. Oops, sorry. This is supposed to be descriptive text. Right. Okay. Right. So this is one block. Once I've created this block, I will add in a new block when people have said that they have given their consent. And then we can start doing our questions now. So my first question will be, of course, on demographics. So I will call this section A, demographics. And I'm going to create my new question. I'm going to call this Q1. Yep. Or I can just leave it. It's not really better. So my first question is going to be on gender. And you notice that once I put in gender, Qualtrics is quite intelligent. So they see something that is frequently used. When you just press or click out enter, you notice that they've given you the male-female option already. So it's very, very intelligent. But it doesn't do for all questions. So you have to be very clear with this. Okay. And the other thing you need to do also is, because you're trying to avoid having empty answers or empty cells or non-response for very important questions, you might want to put in a forced response request for response from your what do you call this, your respondents. So it's important that you do this. All right, you can either be very nasty and say that no, you must respond, or you can say request for a response. I usually just put forced response, so it's easier, and they get the the message go loud and clear. Okay. All right. So the next question I'm going to do is age. Now, age here, I'm asking them to give me. I'm just going to leave these questions here, right? This question label here. So age here, I'm going to ask them to give me a text, because I'm asking them to actually give me a text entry, an age. And I want to make sure that there is a content validation, that only numbers are allowed, and that a minimum of 18 years old must be given consent, because given consent for ethics is 18, then only they can answer the question, or else they can't answer the question. Okay. If you want, I can also add a note here and say that you must be above 18 years old. 18 years old to answer this question. Yeah, you can do that. And there you have it. Okay. And then you can post this up. Right. Okay. So, oh, I'm sorry, this is just a note. No, you have to tell them that they have to be at least 18 and above. You can put it in the question actually. At least 18 years old and above. But of course, the logic here would have already been given you, so you don't have to worry too much about it. Okay? All right. So moving on to the next question. We're going to put in marital status, single, married, divorced, widower. Marital status. And I'm going to put single, married, divorced. Now, you notice that I haven't got enough items to put in for choices, so I have to go to choice here and add on an additional choice. Or if I don't want, I need to take out, then I can take out the choice by adding the minus sign. So this will be widower. Okay. Also, if you see that it's taking too much of space and I want it to be all horizontal, yes, I can also change that. I can change this to multiple choice. Oops, sorry. Multiple choice and make it vertical. Sorry, there you go. Right, so it looks nice. Okay, right. I'm gonna add the next question, which is number of children, which is essentially kind of like same question as this one. Yeah, so I can actually just copy this question. So I can, how do I copy this question? I click on the question, copy the question. Oops, sorry. Oh, I forgot about this one. Make sure you have a false response. Yeah, I don't want the question. I can just take it off. So I want this question. Copy the question. The question comes down here. Just shift the question down, down, down. And this one becomes number of children. Obviously, you cannot set the number of children as maximum 18. You have to set it at a maximum of 0. Okay? Right. And next one I'm going to add on will be highest level of education, which is kind of like this question, isn't it? So again, I can copy this question and put this question down here and change this to highest, what was the thing called? Level of education. Right. Level of education. So this level of education, I'm going to call it, for example, let's see, I need to change this to diploma, degree, master's, PhD. Okay, diploma, degree, a master's, and a PhD, right? Or you can add on any other series or items if you want, or choices if you want. Okay, right. What's my next question? Average monthly income. Okay, average monthly income. I'm just going to take this, copy this question, and I have average monthly income in RM. Again, make sure that it's only numbers are allowed. And finally, job satisfaction, which I have 4 there. Again, I can copy this question. Make sure you click on the question before you want to copy it. Job satisfaction. So I'm going to call this job satisfaction. and I'm going to call this choices will be highly dissatisfied, somewhat dissatisfied, somewhat dissatisfied, okay, and so on and so forth. So highly dissatisfied, satisfied, and highly satisfied. Now, if you're wondering, is my questions all going to be saved? Yes, don't worry, they are going to be saved as long as you don't delete the project. Okay, so this is just one block. Okay, and then I'm going to continue on with the next block. Okay, so the next block I'm going to enter is multi-item scale type of question. So I'm going to add on the new block here, and I'm going to call it my market orientation because I'm using the market orientation scale. And you know what multi-item scales are, right? Multi-item scales are basically scales where you ask a lot of questions on items, and usually they are answered on multi-item Likert scale kind of questions, ranging from strongly disagree as 1 and all the way to strongly agree as 5. So I'm going to use these as my statements here. So how can you do this? Again, add on new question. Please answer, or rather indicate the level of agreeability towards the following statements based on the scale from 1 to 5. Try to give them as much instructions as possible. Yeah, 1 being strongly disagree, and 5 being strongly agree. Now you'll be wondering why I put 1 as strongly disagree and 5 as strongly agree. This is because when you change this to numeric later on, usually you want the more agree to be more positive, so more points to be more positive because they start from the lowest to the highest. So that's why it's much easier to do this. Okay, following statements also, you know, on market orientation, so they kind of know that it's on market orientation. Okay, right, so we're good here. So what are the choices that we're going to use? Obviously, we're going to use a matrix table. See this? Yeah, matrix table with Likert scale, single answer. All right, so choose this. There you go. So make sure you have your scale statement so it's easy for you to put in. Right, so I'm just going to copy and paste here. Take out the, you don't need that. Oh, also another thing, it's always good to indicate your items because later on when you do statistical analysis for reliability or even regression, these items are very important for you. Okay, because it's called market orientation, I'm just going to call it MO for now, and it's called MO1. Next one, I'm going to call it MO2, of course. MO2. Next one, I'm going to call it MO3. And the last one, remember I need to add on statements. So go back up here, look at that statement. I need to add on a new statement. I get a new statement there. And I'm going to call it MO4. MO4. Oops, sorry. MO4. Okay. Right. And what about my scales? Now, I told you that Qualtrics is highly intelligent, right? Watch what happens. So, I'm going to start with strongly disagree. And I'm going to press enter. Look at what happens. It automatically gives me a 7-point Likert scale. Obviously, I'm not asking for a 7-point Likert scale, I'm asking for a 5-point Likert scale, but it does automatically give me a 7-point Likert scale. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to minus to 5-point Likert scale. Then some of you are asking, but I want 4 points. You can change it to 4 points if you want to, but you know, by just changing the number, I'm just going to keep it at 5 because I like 5. Okay. Oh, and one more thing, always remember to put in the false response so that you don't get answers which are not correct. Okay, right? And obviously, once you're done with that, you want to create a new block that talks about survey terminations, survey termination options. Sorry, you don't need this. You want to opt for survey termination options. Now, either you can have a default end of survey message or a custom end of survey message, which you can put in your own custom end of survey message. Usually, I would just leave it as a default survey message. Completion, you can give them a progress after respondent activity, but it doesn't really matter. So I would always try to just put it as a survey termination. Then it'll be easier for me. Okay. Or if you want, you can also choose to add on your own answer and says, thank you for completing this survey, and you can just do blah blah blah, whatever things you want to add. So it's really up to you how you want to do your survey. Okay, so our survey is done. All right, next I'm going to show you how we can preview our survey, deploy it, and of course I'm going to show you how to download the survey. All right. Okay, so our survey is done, and we would like to see how we can distribute our survey. Once your survey is done, you can go back to your survey right at the very top in terms of distribution. Okay, distribution basically says how do you want to distribute your survey. You can either distribute it as an email, you can compose your own email, put it as a web. Some people put it as a social media link, which you can link to any of your social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, you know, Pin, or even your LinkedIn. Okay, so you choose what works for you, and again you can set it as a link or a QR code if you want. Yeah, you can also download a QR code where you can pass the QR code to your friends and ask them to just look at the QR code. It can be an offline app if you want, capture face-to-face feedback. But I like to use personally the survey, all right? Sorry, the social media. Just to preview certain things, if you press on preview, this is exactly how your respondents will see your questionnaire. Okay, this is just a preview. So if I click next, this is how you see the preview on your desktop, and this is how they see the questionnaire on the handheld devices. Now, as I mentioned to you, the Lancaster University logo, because it's proprietary software to Lancaster University and they bought it, so you don't have to worry about not having the Lancaster logo there. So it actually adds on the credibility. See this? Cool, isn't it? Right? So no worries. Okay. So you notice that I cannot move ahead because I have not answered my question. Yeah. And so therefore, you always have to answer the question first before you can move ahead. If you want to see how the questions are answered for the multiple item and how it looks like, I have to answer all these questions. Okay. I think I made a mistake here about putting 2, but you can do your own edit later on. All right, single, number of children, 0, masters, average monthly income. I'm going to tell you what my income is, of course, $20. Am I highly satisfied with my job? So when you go to the next question, it looks something like this. Okay, this is how it looks like in terms of preview. So just answer, 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 answer. And then when you go to the next question, we thank you for your time spent taking the survey. Now, this is the default survey termination. Again, like I said, you can put in your own survey termination. All right, cool. So I'm going to close the preview. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how the data looks like. So if you go to reports, for this particular what do you call this questionnaire, you notice that they are trying to show you the sample. They go by each of the questions. Okay. Obviously, there are no answers right now, so you don't see the answers. But what they do is they give you a good breakdown of how the questions are answered, one at a time. Now, I don't know why it's taking so long, but you get to see. Actually, I can show you something from my own survey. So let me go to another one and show you from my own survey. Maybe that will help. So I want to go, there we go. So I just answered my survey just now that I created. So they can show you visualization. They tell you who answered, what answered, and so on and so forth by question. Right? Yeah, kind of like a Google Analytics sort of a thing, you know. So it does take some time. So you can play around with it and see what works for you. Again, you know, this is just a very simple Google Analytics question, right? I find this pretty cool, and I find this pretty interesting because when you do Google Forms, although you get something like this in Google Forms, but there are many other things that Qualtrics has over Google Forms. Like for instance, if you send in text, it doesn't automatically recognizes a number, so you really have to make sure that it changes to number. And I'll show you later what I mean by this. Okay. So I've shown you about deploying your questionnaire. I've shown you about answering your questionnaire. Distributing your questionnaire, and also I've shown you how the data is filled in and how it's seen by the respondents. So the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you download the data, especially in the form of SPSS. All right. Okay, so downloading your data sets. When you go to your project, you go to your data and analysis, you will see every single person that has entered the data will add on here. Okay, you can also set how long you want your questionnaire to be up and running. That one you can decide you want to close the questionnaire, you want to open the questionnaire. So it's really entirely up to you, but you can do that. That one, you can do it under the distribution tab, okay? How long you want to close the, sorry, how long you want to close your questionnaire, okay? Sorry, open your questionnaire. So for now, I'm just going to go to your data and analysis, okay? Right. So downloading your data, always make sure that you have SPSS installed. Okay, if you don't have SPSS installed, then even if you download the SPSS, it won't look nice. For this one, I'm just going to show you how to download the data in two forms. One is the CSV form, which is the comma separated values, as well as the SPSS. But I'm not going to download this particular data set because this particular data set is not so nice. I'm going to use another data set. So when you import the data, you download and import the data. Well, I'm going to use this data set anyway. Okay, cancel. Sorry. Export, import. Make sure you export data. So if it's CSV, which is for your Excel, and if I use numeric values and I download it, you notice that after I download, it will go into a Qualtrics. So find where you are downloading your data, and it becomes a kind of like a zip file. So unzip your file, extract files to, I'll just put it on my desktop for now. So it'll be easier for me to retrieve back. And I'll call this Qualtrics. Okay. Press OK. Then I go to my desktop. What I'll see is my Qualtrics here, my first Qualtrics that was done by today. And if you double click on it, you will get your Excel file. Now, obviously, the first few columns you don't need because it's just metadata of who, when, and how they responded to the questions. Usually I don't need all this, and usually I'll just delete it, okay? Or I'll just take away. What's more important is, I'm just going to delete the columns instead anyway. What's more important is, how do I delete the column? Delete, yeah. What's more important is the questions. You see, I downloaded the questions and answers, and it all becomes numbers. Now, the problem with downloading it as CSV and it becomes numbers is because I don't see what are the labels to the numbers. So it's very, very difficult for me. All right, which is why I said one of the good things about, I mean, Google Forms does this for you very nicely, but it doesn't tell you the labels. That is why I said it is good to use Qualtrics because it can download straight into SPSS for you. So let's see how that's done. So again, I will go into import export data, export data, SPSS, okay, SPSS, download. I go into show in folder. This is my one for the SPSS. I'm going to extract my files to my desktop with the Qualtrics. And I've already got my SPSS open up, so I don't have to waste time. Yeah. So I need to go back to my desktop, find my Qualtrics, and you see it's there, my SPSS file. Now, here's the magic. Watch. Once I open up my Excel file, look at that. My question has basically given me my labels. Remember question 11, 1, 2, 3, 4? Of course, I wanted this to be MO1, MO2, MO3. Of course, you can just change it to MO1, MO2, MO3, MO4. But the beauty of this is the numbers and the labels are given to you automatically. Now, if you're a student, this is going to be so wonderful for you. Look at this. Look at this, right? Look at all this. These are the questions that I was asking you to do just now. Where are the labels? Obviously, if you look at my SPSS videos, all you need to do is just press the labels there. Okay, so it's really, really wonderful and amazing. And I've done a lot of training, and a lot of people say that this is one of the best features of using Qualtrics. And that is why I always encourage my students to use Qualtrics for this. Okay, so I guess what you need to know is that yes, there are good things and there are bad things about different types. I'm just showing you one of the ways that you can create your own online survey using Qualtrics. Okay, and everything is saved already for you. All right. So what I've covered now, just now, is a little bit on this tutorial, step-by-step tutorial, is how to create your online survey using Qualtrics. I've shown you how to create the questions. I've shown you how to edit the questions, create blocks. I've shown you how to deploy the question, which is distribute the questions, and finally how to download the questions. And one of the great features, like I mentioned, is using the SPSS feature, which creates the labels for you. Okay, so if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email me. You can find my email at dreko at sunway.edu.my, and also make sure that you use your QR code reader. You can find my videos here, here in this QR code. Yeah, just scan it. And take care of yourself, everyone, and I hope to see you when I see you. Thank you very much.